Welcome to episode 5 of 30 Minutes with Darius. We in this joint again, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Back
I'm
at it.
good. I'm good. We back at it, man. Talking all things sports, all things fantasy. It's
That's right.
March. It's March, and we all know what if you're into sports and you're listening to us, you know what March means. It's
Yeah,
March Madness, one of my favorite times of the year. Um,
mine too.
just to watch what I will say can be one of the most competitive and exciting times when it comes to basketball. You'd be
Yeah,
hard pressed to find a more competitive tournament, even in the professional ranks, right? In my opinion, when it comes
yeah.
to March Madness, man, it is an amazing time, and I'm
I
excited
agree.
about it. I haven't necessarily kept up with um, the teams, but we're gonna do our brackets. What about you?
Man, I'm excited. Always excited, man. I think the
Yeah,
first weekend of March Madness is probably the most exciting, like 3 or 4 day period in sports yearly, man. The uncertainty, the unpredictability, all that good stuff, man, that makes March Madness special. Like it's a spectacle. It's an event that just never ceases to amaze. So
yeah,
I'm excited, man. We're doing something super special with League Swipe this year. We're sponsoring March Madness pools for league commissioners. We know there's league commissioners out there who are looking for ways to get their leagues engaged throughout the year. March Madness is one of those great opportunities. You might do a March Madness pool with some folks out of your league, some people you work with. League Swipe is offering up an opportunity for you to gather those people up, join a League Swipe hosted league, let us sponsor it, and let us pay the winners, man, and real cash and merchandise and all that good stuff that gets people excited, even more excited about participating in March Madness. We're running it through ESPN. We're launching it soon. The Sunday is Selection Sunday, so we'll be up and running by the end of Sunday with our very first league. So check us out. Go to leagueswipe.com, sign up to get notified, and once those brackets hit, we'll be sending out invites to league commissioners to invite their leagues to a League Swipe sponsored March Madness bracket. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
man. Looking
Take
forward to it.
advantage of it.
Looking forward to it, man. So let me put you in the hot seat real quick, right? So can you give me right? Give
Yep,
me out of the top five, like the AP poll of top 25 college basketball teams right now as of March 6th, name
yep.
two teams in the top five. Can you
UCLA
do it?
and Houston. UCLA, Houston,
Yep.
Kansas.
Yep.
What you
Oh, you gonna keep going. You showing out today, huh? You got the list up
talking
in front of
what
you.
you talking about?
You got the list up in front of you.
No, bro.
Yep. Top
No,
five is Houston's number one, UCLA is number two, Kansas three, Alabama four, Purdue is five.
yeah. Illinois
Yeah.
let Purdue off the hook twice this year. That's
Mm.
That's
Yep.
my alma mater, so I'm rooting for the Big Ten all day long.
Yeah,
But
they're out of the top
hey,
25.
oh
Well, I
yeah,
don't
no,
know.
they,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they out of the top
Yeah,
25. They're
yeah,
out
they're
of the
not
top.
it. Yeah.
But they let Purdue off the hook. The
Yeah.
Big Ten tournament will be fun to watch. The
Sure.
SEC tournament will be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um, I like UCLA, man. I like UCLA a lot. I think they got a lot of experience, which makes a big difference in those
Right.
later rounds of the tournament. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah, no
see.
doubt. Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, man.
Definitely looking forward to it to see those. Dare I say kids? They're not kids, especially with the COVID years. You got 25-year-olds playing 6 years, still,
You
still,
right. You
still
right.
playing. So some
Right.
of them are grown men out here playing in the college game and looking for an opportunity to make that move and that shift to the pros. Um,
We got some kids in the NBA that's making some real immature moves.
Well, that's exactly where I'm headed. So you got on that train for this transition. So let's go on transition, man. There's some other stuff going on in the professional ranks, right? That isn't fantasy. It's real life.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it. It's Ja Morant, right? And I
Yeah,
think
man.
everybody knows kind of what's going on based on what the media is sharing with respect to Ja Morant. Um, and I'll tell you, I have I won't get it. I want to hear your take first. But I do have some mixed feelings about it. But what are your thoughts? Let's get into it.
Yeah, man, I think it's a very unfortunate situation. Um, you know, John Morant is a real talent. He has a real bright future. A lot of people see him as a
Yep.
potential future face of the NBA. That's one aspect. That's John Morant, the athlete. But John Morant, the person, the individual, I think is a compelling figure that people have looked up to. Um, and I think that this is a really, uh, it's, I mean, obviously, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look for him at all, to put himself in that situation. But you got to ask yourself, how does a kid like that, that is like the master of his own destiny, um, I don't know, naive is the right word, but how does he find himself in that situation? I think that is the question that a lot of people are asking, and I think that's the question that a lot of people don't understand, or the reasoning behind that a lot of people don't understand. Um, and that's what I like to sort of get into, man. How do you get into a position like that? Who around you or is it allowing you to get yourself into situations like that? It's well documented that this dude has had some run-ins recently with the law. Shannon Sharp and others, man, have talked to him and said, on record that he needs to watch the company that he keeps. And I think you and I both know that when you see people in that situation, like in that role, and you see the people around them, you start to see this warning signs that there's a problem that exists. So um I hope I mean I don't know if this was just a lapse in judgment, um and he got, and it's a bad look, or if it was sort of that cry for help that I am sort of surrounding myself with this world that I know is damaging, but I don't know how to get myself out. And if it's the latter, I hope that this is an opportunity for him to do that safely without like real damage to his person and his image. So
Yeah, I mean, all of those things, right? What I want to be what I want to be careful about, right? And growing up in the inner city, um, you know things when you see it, right? And
yeah,
what the outcome of certain things are,
yep,
and what it means, right? And I understand that we're grown. You and I come from a bit of a different era, right? The kids are these young adults are into things differently from a cultural perspective, right? They don't appear to take things as serious as we did growing up where we grew up. We knew how to get out of Dodge. We knew what certain things meant. We knew what posture meant. We knew who not to mess with and who to play with. Right? There's just certain things that you understood, that you really didn't have very much opportunity to make a mistake in certain ways. Right? You go down this wrong street. There's a good chance you might not make it back. Right?
yeah, yeah,
Depending on when you go, what day of the week you go down there, go down that road. But um, the thing that I want to be careful with is, are we creating an unforgiving society, right? So um just within our own culture, right? Sometimes I feel like with everything going on, I wish that there was, when these moments happen, I wish we can get everybody in the church, lock the doors, and be like, hey, before y'all get out here and start bashing everybody, what are the ramifications? You know what I mean? Like kind of the
yeah,
thing where it's
yeah,
just like, if you had siblings, at least my parents, would be like, if y'all fighting, if one of y'all fight, if one of you get into a fight, both of y'all fighting, right? Right?
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So you come home with it, even if they wrong, you make sure that that your sibling makes it home, and then we'll hash it out when you get home. But you better not come in here and so beat up, and
Mm-hmm.
you aren't, right. And there's some nuance to that. There's some trauma associated with that as well, because that ain't
Absolutely.
always the right thing to do either, right.
Right, right, right.
Um, but it's like he made a like he made a mistake. Right. I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping that this is one of those situations where he can recognize that it was a mistake, and he has room, and we give him room to rectify that, right? Like, it doesn't, from outside looking in, I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're not even on a commercial. Like, why? If you got, I was raised in a way where if you got to be somewhere where you got to have a gun, you don't need to be
You
there.
don't need to be there. Right.
And that's coming from somebody that don't make millions, right?
Right, right, right.
So if you got money in your pocket, if you got to go somewhere where you gotta brandish a gun, you gotta have it in your back pocket, you probably shouldn't be there, right? And for all intents and purposes, if you felt that way and you still wanted to go out and hang out, you got enough money to hire people that are qualified
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to have your back when it's that way. So what is he really, the real question is, in that culture, what is he really trying to say? What
Yeah,
is he really trying to prove to the people that are following him and that are looking up to
that's
him?
right.
Because he is still a young man, right? And at his age, while I wasn't brandishing a gun. There were some things that could have that if not caught at the time they were caught, could have went really bad for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
just so
yeah.
happens that we didn't have to deal with social media.
That's right.
So um, I want to,
No, you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
And you talk about the forgiving society.
yeah, yeah,
I think we are forgetting more than we are forgetting. I mean, forgiving,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
the sad part about this is something will happen tomorrow that will make this look like insignificant,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we will go on to that and bash that more so. I, Instead of forgiving Jah, we'll just forget that his transgression
yeah, yeah,
happened. Is
yeah, yeah.
where what we tend to do. Um,
Or we just throw them away, right? We just
or
throw them
we
away, and we just like, I don't even want to go back to that. I don't want to have a conversation. He is who
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 we
he was, and when he showed us with that, like, there's no opportunity for him
well
to come back and say
well
that's who I was in that moment.
winning allows you to do that in sports. Though Kobe came back, like everybody, like their winning is a cure all in
Winning,
the in the
unfortunately,
yeah, yeah,
and in some
winning.
cases, fortunately,
That's
winning
right.
does give you some grace with society, right?
It does give you grace.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think back to your point about the why though, man, and this
hmm
is the part that I think culturally has existed for some time, um, even when we were growing up. It's that whole street credibility piece, right?
right,
Like us wanting to prove in some capacity that we have credibility
yeah,
in the streets with that culture, with that subset of culture, and
hmm
not be seen as something
square
less
lane,
right,
yep,
square and lame, right? So,
hmm
I mean, and that's existed, and I just hate the fact that this younger generation allows that to consume their behavior in a way in a society where it's so visible now, right? Like
yeah,
like our street cred, you stole something from the corner store to show people that you weren't scared
right,
and you got away with it. No harm, like nobody
yeah, yeah,
getting hurt. There's no cameras or any of that. This stuff, man, and the
yeah,
NBA, they know who you hang with. They know everywhere you go. So to
yeah,
to to sacrifice what you built in that arena
right,
for street credibility, like just doesn't make good sense. Like, and the other side of that too, man. When we were growing up, like people in job position, there was always an old head. like a real street dude that said, no, he
Yeah.
good. He off limits. Like all y'all cats that are around him that's
Yeah.
gonna mess up
Yeah.
his gift, y'all are dead. Like we not letting it happen.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think we've lost that accountability, that self check
Right.
within our communities, man.
Yeah. Derrick Rose.
That's right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah. It's a good
exactly right.
example. Is a good example of that, right? So
Oh, his brothers weren't letting nothing
no, no, they weren't. And
stand in his way.
if it did slip through the cracks, they caught on to it, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just they figured out a way to keep it above, like to keep it below the fray. Like this could get
yeah,
bad. Let's get out. Let's figure out how we can mitigate this, right? The other thing too that's important to note, like there was a level of respect too, right? So we had respect for the old heads, right? And I'm not suggesting that
yeah,
Ja doesn't have respect for his elders, but you had to be willing to listen um, in that way, right? Like back in our when we were growing up, the old heads had they were older. Not only older, they had their credibility was currency in the hood, right?
yeah.
And so I don't know that that same thing exists in this world culturally, right? And when you think about where these guys are, they're removed from it. Um, like I mean, honestly, how much does job really have to be in the hood, right? Like,
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I mean, he
And how
doesn't
much
have to be there.
has he been in
Been
the
in the
hood?
hood,
Like,
right?
man,
So
like listen, these cats are
yeah,
making it to the pros at 18, 19. They've been
yeah,
in AAU since they were 12. You were never on the streets. Like
right,
you were to get to the level that you are now. Like
yeah,
you had no time like
right.
to
No,
really be in the streets. So
yeah,
stop pretending to be something that you are not. And
yeah, yeah,
why when you reached
yeah,
your goal do you have to reach back to prove it? Like it
yeah.
doesn't like 50
My,
Cent.
yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
No,
go ahead.
go ahead.
50 Cent, what?
No, I was gonna say one of my favorite quotes from 50 Cent, man. Years ago, he said, like, people always talk about, you change, you change. Like, listen, man, if money hasn't changed you, you ain't made enough.
Right.
And that's all.
Right.
And I'm talking
Yeah,
about these dudes making
yeah.
40, $50 million a year, and
Hmm.
they're scared that they're gonna be perceived as millionaires living a plush life. Like you
Right.
are,
You
dude.
are
Like
right.
stop
That's what
it.
you worked for,
That's what you
right?
worked for.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I find it kind of hard to understand, um, because like I said before, street cred was a sort of currency back in the day, right? It
Yeah.
gave you it literally had purchasing power, right? What when you look at these athletes, right? Not just job, but what does
Mhm.
in these days and times, what does street credibility really buy you? You know what I'm saying? What is the
Yeah.
value of a street credibility dollar? Like, what can you get with that that you can't get with what you have built for yourself, right? And when you
That's right.
start to look at it and compare the value of the dollar that you're making in the lane in which you want to versus, man, I want the hood to love me, right? You
Right.
what like help me understand exactly what the purpose. It's not gonna get you better girls
Yeah.
than what you have an opportunity to get if that's your thing. It's not going to get you more access into the business arena, which is where I think you may want to be. It's not going to get you the mansions. It's not going to let you put your mama and your daddy up or whatever that is, right? So it's just like I have a hard time understanding what that is, and it's I think at the end of the day, I would like to think that it was just a lapse in judgment. He was out partying and he felt like when in Rome, you do what the Romans do, kind of thing, and now he's kind of sit back and like, oh man, that was a pretty bad decision. The other thing, and only time will tell, right? How he begins to
Right.
come back and maybe change a little bit of that. He doesn't owe it to me; he owes it to himself or anybody else. He owes it to himself to kind of make that change if he wants to sustain. Like you said, he has an opportunity to be one of the faces of the new look NBA, right? So, and that means a lot. New shoe deals, sponsorships, all these other things. He could set the legacy of his family is set just based on those things. Um, And so one of the things that I'm also kind of struggling with is some people are starting to talk about his dad's role in this and what like
Yeah,
where's his dad? Is he listening to his dad? I thought his dad was in his life and blah blah. Like he's getting a bad
yeah,
rap when it's like at the end of the day, his dad has done his job. Ja's out here, man. He ain't telling Ja, yo, put a gun in your pocket, get on the team plane, go to the game, and what. Like I'm sure
yeah,
that he's not advising him to do that. His kid is
yeah,
John's not a kid anymore. He gets up and he makes his own decisions, right? The fact that his dad is there to kind of help him through it is what really that's what fatherhood is. And so
hmm,
the fact that people are kind of trying to point the finger um, at his dad a little bit kind of gives me some pause too. But
yeah. I don't know. Right, of course, I don't know Ja or his dad and what
right,
that
right,
relation. You could just go off what you see, and his dad
mm-hmm.
is there, and his dad appears to be a younger
Yeah,
dad
right,
that's
right.
in
He
the league.
enjoying it just like his son
He
is.
enjoying it like his son,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I think people make some assumptions about
yeah,
you know his responsibility in it, like him allowing stuff to happen because he too wants to be part of the culture and
right.
viewed positively by the culture. Like I don't know whether that's true or not.
Yeah,
Um, I just know again, like you said, it was a bad choice,
mm-hmm,
and I hope you know the best for him.
mm-hmm.
That again, because I mean, I hate to say it could have been, it could be a lot worse. But if
Oh, it
this
could
is
be a
the
lot worse.
opportunity for him to learn
Mm-hmm.
about being responsible all the time and the
Yeah,
company he keeps and the places he goes, like
yeah,
this is that's fine. It's good to learn this early.
yeah.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
I'm telling you,
You get a pass for being young.
man.
Um but yeah,
Because he was holding
again,
that thing like this. What if he dropped it and the gun go off and it shoot somebody?
right. I mean, now he's dealing with it was in Colorado. They
Right.
have some of the strictest gun laws in the
Mm.
country, if I'm not mistaken. So
Mm-hmm.
now he finds himself in a
Yeah.
Plaxico Burris
Right.
type of situation where
Right.
Plaxico went to jail for shooting himself.
Right.
And it wasn't that he shot himself
Right.
and they were mad because he attempted murder. It was because of the gun laws in New
New
York are
York.
so strict
Yeah.
that him even possessing a firearm
Right.
broke laws, and I think Ja is going to be he's facing some of that. So it's going to be unclear how this plays out. This could
Right.
be a lot a bigger deal than anticipated.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. The other side of this too, I like as a business owner, I love and the commissioner of commissioners. I like to see how commissioners and leagues handle these types of
Sure.
situations because it informs me
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of how I want to build my company and keep the brand and all that
Right.
good stuff. And now
So
you
why
got
don't let's hop. We got almost about 5 minutes left. Let's throw you in the commissioner's hot seat right now. How would you handle this? This is your NBA
uh,
is your league. How do you handle this?
I think I handle it similarly to the way it's being handled now. That
Mm-hmm.
it is it's a team issue, and the
Mm-hmm.
team issues the statements about how
Sure.
um, they will the immediate punishment of the player,
Mm-hmm.
and then the commissioner of the league. At some point, I would have to have a conversation as to how we view the actions. Right now, it's all this understanding the ramifications. So the
Yeah.
league and the commissioner, they can lean on it's an investigation. We don't know if laws have been broken. It's obviously not a good look and it was a stupid move. That's easy to come out and say as a
Yeah.
commissioner. We, you know, especially in a climate, understanding like how serious gun violence is in this country and how much um, people of color are affected by it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, for me, being a man of color and a commissioner, I would, you know, have strong thoughts and sentiments about what this type of behavior does um, in light of people's efforts to improve gun safety in our country,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
A lot of people try to push it off as a social economic issue, but now you got millionaires on TV with irresponsibly handling firearms. So
Yeah.
that tells you that there's a broader problem about that exists when it comes to gun safety and in this country. So um, I would again I would lean on the teams to talk about the immediate punishment, but at some point we would have I would have to step out and make a comment about how the league is receive will respond to both the legality of it and
Mm,
um, the just the yeah the optics of having one of our faces of the franchise
yeah.
behaving in that manner.
Yeah.
So I definitely would hope that they would independently, Ja and the organization would make gun violence like awareness and appearances part of their plan on reconciling this situation or resolving this situation, I should say. So I would make sure that would be a part of the plan that they present to the world as to
Mm,
what Ja will do to get better from
mm,
this. Yeah.
mm. Very, very interesting take, man. Yeah, I have some thoughts, but we definitely don't have time to get for me to get through
Come on, man.
my
Give me.
rambling of thoughts as it pertains to that, man. I think that just at the end of the day, it's this mix of culture um, and corporate culture, right? So world culture, and then world culture, community culture, whatever you want to call it, and then these multi-billion-dollar entities culture. When that stuff starts to coincide, I think it gets really hard because in the NBA they kind of present as like this family oriented kind of product, right? It kind of in a not in a direct way, but kind of in an indirect way where it's just like we care about our players. When you think about how um, they collaborate with it appears they collaborate with the team, with the players union and stuff like that, to do the right things culturally and stay
Yeah.
connected, because they know a large percentage of their employees are are of African American descent or black, right?
Hmm.
And so they have to tap into that, right? And so it's just like part of me feels like even when you think of corporate culture now and where we are just after the pandemic and how the pandemic has changed people's minds in terms of what they think a true work day looks like, or how work has changed in that way, and some of the rigidness around some of the corporate environment, and how they don't want to change, right? And
Yeah.
so when I look at the NBA in this situation, is this an opportunity to connect with the players union to figure out how to um, have, because they're going to have more kids coming in, more young men coming in that have this cultural mindset, and how do they begin to? Is it the NBA's job to kind of put things in place to kind of help them be better prepared for what they need to do as they operate in this worldwide brand? I don't know, right? Or is it just like, yo, you grown, you making $1 million, I'm paying you. You got to figure out how to manage your own stuff, bro. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's just like it's tough. It's tough
It
in that
is.
regard.
I know personally that the players union has engaged companies that I'm familiar with to
Mm,
help
okay.
that with new players and existing players.
Yeah.
It's under the umbrella of sort of PR and public
Sure.
relations, but it is sort of this transition. But I think this is a great example that they will use to teach future players about the dangers of. And I see that, and that I want to be careful because I don't know what is it, what is it the dangers of trying to be accepted in a culture that you
Yeah. I
are a
mean,
part like
the dangers question mark, right? Maybe it's
question
just
mark.
like the
Yeah,
dangers across all things, right? Because
Yeah.
we're not a monolith. Not everybody that's in the NBA grew up in the hood. They got different environments. People grew up and learned different things in different ways, and they have different perspectives on what it means to operate out here in this world successfully as a new young millionaire and doing things and moving appropriately. Um, and at the end of the day, man, you can have all the training in the world, you can have all the resources in the world. It still boils down to solid decision making by the person that is responsible for it. And so, that accountability definitely needs to be in Ja's lap, and he needs to figure out what he needs to do next to change
I
that.
would tell him from personal experience,
Yeah.
very few good decisions are made at 5 a.m. in the club.
Oh,
Like
for
get
sure.
out of the club at 5 a.m.,
For
bro.
sure. For for sure, man. Like you just gotta
Brother,
get
yeah,
it. Nah, nah, nah. Yep, you're right.
that's the good. Get
Get out
out.
the way. Get out the
Get
way,
out the
right?
way.
Get out of the way, man. So we could definitely go on, but this is 30 minutes with Darius. This ain't 60 minutes with Darius. Um,
No.
so we didn't hit the timer, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell the world what's going on with League Swipe and what else we got going on. Run that by us before we wrap this show up, man.
Yes, sir. League Swipe downloaded today, man. We are fully live with the NBA season. If you're in a fantasy league, a league commissioner, and you got payouts happening weekly into the season, and you want somebody to handle that, you're sick of going to spreadsheets and trying to manage that manually. Download League Swipe. We're doing that for you. We're automating that in a real fun way. We are fully integrated with Yahoo, so we make that automation as seamless as possible. We're looking to add on additional platforms real soon. So the best way to find out when that happens, man, is to go to our website, leagueswipe.com, and sign up to get notified. Like we talked at the top of the show, man, we're sponsoring um, March Madness brackets, tournament brackets for fantasy leagues. So if you're a league commissioner or a league participant and you want to get the group together to participate and fill out some brackets and win some real money and some merchandise, check us out. Again, go to the website leagueswipe.com, sign up. Once those brackets hit, we'll notify you and let you know how you can start getting your people on board and filling out those brackets and winning some money. So that's where we at.
That's where we at. Download the app, get in tune with with these this March Madness, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Peace.
Peace.